Hello, and good evening, Toastmasters. My name's Shannon Stow. I'm the VP for the Hollywood Toastmasters Club, and this is preparing your speech. This is a mentoring video to help you out. It's something you can refer to if you're getting ready to give a speech and you want to organize it. Some quick tips that I have, and this is my personal ideas. A lot of these ideas that I have, you can use them if you need to, and if you don't need them, don't use them. First thing, let's start right off with getting ready for your speech. You need to have something that you're speaking on, some kind of a topic that you feel comfortable with. Especially if this is one of your first speeches, speak about something that you're passionate about, something that you know. You don't want to start talking about, computer science if you don't do computer science. And you don't want to talk about brain surgery if you're not a brain surgeon. It makes it more difficult, and you'll have to refer to your notes more, and that sucks. So come up with an idea that you're familiar with, something that you like, something that you could talk about regardless. The first thing is coming up with a catchy title that you like, and start with that idea that you have, the message you want to get across for your speech. For example, let's say you want to talk about going on trips with your friends, or going on trips with your family. Maybe you want to talk about those trips and help other people maybe plan for their trips, or tell them about how you do it on your trips, or talk about one of your trips that you've taken before. Doesn't matter what it is that your topic is. You need to know that topic. It's something that you know and something you're familiar with. This is great because it sets you up so you don't have to remember. And the best thing about doing speeches is doing speeches with no notes. I've found that doing speeches with no notes is much easier. And no one knows what your speech is about but you. Setting up that, getting that main idea. So you have a cool, catchy title. You come up with your title, and then you come up with an opening. Always we open with fellow Toastmasters, guests, however you want to open it. You can say Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, welcome guests, distinguished Toastmasters, however you want to open. Use that opening just to break the ice a little bit. So you want to do acknowledgement to all the dignitaries in the room, and also start off that speech. First thing you can start with is a question or something to get everyone's attention. Did you put on underwear this morning? You ask a question that gets people's attention, like, what? Raise your hand if you put your pants on. Everybody is, what are they talking about? So you're going to have their attention right away. Immediately asking questions and talking about what you know about is going to get people involved. There's three main parts to your speech: your opening, the body, and the closing. This is what I found to be the three main things. And then you remember, if you have a story about your Nana, or you have a story about your brother, a story that happened to you at the mall, these bullet points that will be a part of your speech. So come up with those bullet points. Those are your main categories. That way you're not remembering a whole speech, because you remember the story about you and your brother, or you remember the story about Nana. All you need to remember is Nana and my brother and what happened at the mall. However these things are, it's simple to remember those things and get through your speech. And carefully watch the time as you go. Time will pass by, and you want to take all the time you need and use those pauses and use that time wisely. No one knows that you have 10 things to talk about and you only talk about 6 of them. That's okay, as long as you have your opening, your body, and your closing. So let's say you have your opening ready. You know what you're going to say when you get up there. You're going to open up the speech, and then you're going to ask a question, or you're going to tell a story. Something to get the attention right off the front. Something bold. Make sure that your voice is variables, that you have a lot of excitement, and that you can come into that speech and sound and look amazing. Don't forget to smile. Don't forget to look and have eye contact with everyone. But at the same time, remember those bullets. So you have your opening. You already know what you're going to say. You're done. That's what you practice. That opening is important. You need to have confidence, and you need to step up. As soon as you're up there, you need to find your groove. Once you get in your groove, it's easy to remember those points. You got a story about Nana, you got a story about your brother, you got a story about the mall. You have those as your backups. And you have your body or your speech. So you talk about whatever it is your message is. but then you remember those bullets that you have for the body. And when you're going through the body of the speech, you're going to realize you run into the yellow light pretty fast. Pay attention to time, and when you do see the yellow light, continue with those bullet points that you have and ask the questions you're going to ask. Take those pauses and use that to start closing your message for the body. And remember, you memorize your closing perfectly, so that whenever you see that red light, you go straight to your closing, and at that point, you tie the opening to the closing, and the body makes sense. So the point is, after all the things that happened with my Nana and the thing that happened with them all that I told you about, this is what I think you should know about what I've told you. And that's why I'm here. And then you do your closing, Mr. Toastmaster, and place it back in their hands and wait until they take the stage from you at that time. And you always have a good speech if you can tie the opening to the closing and your body makes sense between. Using those fine points can make an excellent speech for you, and it's easy, especially when you remember true stories that you know about your family members or your friends or something that's happened to you. It's easy to refer to that bullet point and say the story about Nana. Oh, I was with my Nana, and she was driving the truck, and we were talking about this, and we stopped at the fruit stand, and that's when she's totally freaked out because she saw this spider. Whatever the story is that happened in your life, you tell those stories because you already know them. It's not something you need to memorize, and it makes your speech just really work out. Everyone loves a personal story, and we can connect to them. So get the stories in, ask questions. Any question that you can ask to get everybody's attention, that is going to grab them and hold them through the speech and keep them going. And don't forget, be enthusiastic. Use your body language. Be aware of how you're speaking. And don't be afraid to wait for a second. Don't be afraid to take that pause. Even if you miss one of the stories, the pause between will make that difference, and set your point in and have the closing ready and memorized. When you see the red light, close it up and lock it in. That way you don't lose your opportunity to win for your voters, because we're all pushing for you. And that's it. That's how to organize a speech. We'll see you in the next meeting.